The night had a strange stillness, the kind that makes the hairs on the back of your neck rise for no obvious reason. It was late November, bitterly cold, and the kind of silence that wrapped around the town was almost unnatural. Most people had already gone to bed, lights in their houses flicked off one by one, until the street itself seemed abandoned. Sarah, a young woman in her mid-20s, had just finished her shift at a small diner on the edge of town. She lived alone in a rented single-story house, a modest place tucked away at the far end of a quiet neighborhood. It wasn't much, but it was affordable, and she liked the solitude. She locked the door carefully, tossed her keys on the counter, and made herself a cup of tea. It was routine, same as every night. She always double-checked the locks, pulled the curtains shut, and curled up on the couch with the television humming softly in the background. But tonight, there was something wrong. Around midnight, Sarah heard it, a faint tapping noise against the back window. At first, she thought it was just a tree branch swaying in the wind, but the night was completely still. The sound was deliberate. Tap, tap, tap. Her chest tightened. She muted the TV, straining to listen. Silence. Then again, tap, tap, louder this time. Sarah's first thought was that maybe a stray cat had wandered onto the porch, but her gut told her otherwise. She walked quietly to the back window and carefully peeked through a sliver in the curtains. Nothing, just a dark yard and the faint outline of the old wooden fence. Trying to brush it off, she returned to the couch, though her unease had grown sharper. Minutes passed, but then came another noise, this time from the front of the house. A slow creak, like the weight of a footstep on the porch. Sarah froze. Her eyes darted to the front door. She had locked it. She knew she had locked it. She crept toward the peephole and peered outside. At first, she saw nothing but darkness, then movement. A figure stepped out of the shadows of the porch, lingering near the door. A man, tall and broad-shouldered, wearing a dark hoodie pulled low over his face. Her heart stopped. The man didn't knock. He didn't ring the bell. He just stood there, silent, as if listening. Then slowly, he placed his hand on the doorknob and twisted. Sarah's breath caught. The knob turned but stopped against the lock. He was checking, testing. She backed away quietly, her hands shaking. She thought about calling 911, but the phone was still on the counter near the living room. If she moved too quickly, if she made any noise he might hear. Suddenly, bang! The man shoved the door hard, testing its strength. The frame rattled. Sarah bit down a scream, backing toward the kitchen. She grabbed her phone, dialing 911 with trembling fingers. The dispatcher's calm voice answered, and Sarah whispered in a shaky voice, "There's someone trying to get into my house." The dispatcher told her to stay calm, to stay hidden, and that officers were already on their way. But the intruder wasn't waiting. The banging on the door grew louder, angrier, more deliberate. Then silence again. Sarah thought for a moment he might have given up, but a new sound made her blood run cold. The sound of glass shattering. The back window. Her stomach dropped. He was inside. Sarah ran toward her bedroom. Phone clutched tightly in her hand, heart hammering in her chest. She locked the door, pressed her back against it, and tried to quiet her ragged breathing. On the other end of the line, the dispatcher kept her talking, whispering reassurances, urging her to stay hidden. Then came the footsteps. Slow, deliberate, dragging across the wooden floor. The sound of shards crunching under heavy boots. The intruder wasn't rushing. He was taking his time, moving from room to room, as if savoring the hunt. The footsteps grew closer. Sarah pressed her hand over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. The dispatcher kept asking her to respond, but she couldn't make a sound. Then silence again. The air in the house felt suffocating, heavy with dread. Sarah dared to lower her hand from her mouth, listening. Maybe he had left. Maybe he realized the police were coming. Then the bedroom door handle rattled. Sarah gasped. The man chuckled low, the sound chilling in the stillness. "Open the door," he whispered to the wood, his voice deep and raspy. "I know you're in there." Sarah's legs trembled violently. She pressed her weight against the door, whispering through tears into the phone. "He's at my door. He's trying to get in. The dispatcher told her the police were minutes away, to stay quiet, to stay strong. The man pounded on the door, the sound deafening. The thin wood cracked under force. Sarah screamed despite herself, her body shaking uncontrollably. Then red and blue lights flickered across the window. Sirens wailed, piercing the silence. The pounding stopped. Heavy footsteps retreated down the hall, crashing through the living room. Sarah heard the back door slam, glass crunching as he fled into the night. Moments later, the front door burst open, and police officers rushed inside. They found Sarah curled on the bedroom floor, shaking, sobbing, phone still clutched in her hand. The house was torn apart. Drawers pulled open, furniture knocked over. The intruder had searched through her things, looking for something, money, valuables, maybe even her. But he was gone. The police told Sarah she was lucky, that if she hadn't called when she did, the ending might have been far worse. They searched the neighborhood but found nothing. No footprints, no trace of the man. It was as if he had melted into the night. In the days that followed, Sarah couldn't sleep. Every creak of the house, every whisper of wind against the windows, made her relive that night. She replaced the locks, reinforced the windows, even installed cameras. But the memory stayed. What haunted her most wasn't the banging on the door, or the glass shattering, or even the sound of his voice whispering through the wood. It was a discovery the police made when they searched the property more closely. Behind the shed in her backyard, hidden in the dirt, they found a small, tattered backpack. Inside was duct tape, rope, and a long hunting knife. The man hadn't come for her money. He hadn't come to steal. He had come for her.